back to the Battery Podcast. I'm Aidan,
I'm Jack.
And I'm Casey.
and we are unfortunately here to recap the end of the Cannon season. 0-2 at home, Harvard Stadium, meaning with the Water Dogs the Water Dogs only losing by one. The Cannons are out of the playoffs. So we now know they will pick second in the 2026 draft, pending any trades or anything like that. But they will not have a chance at that double. They will not be making Champ Series, and they just got to wait till the last week of
The
May.
weekend after Memorial Day.
Yeah, yeah. So it's we got. I mean, I hope you all still will watch the some of the other teams in the PLL playoffs because it's certainly still going to be a lot of great games to play. Just won't feature the Cannons. So. Um, I guess you guys want to start on Friday. I think we all nailed this, right? We said it was going to be a low scoring affair, a tight. At least we said it was going to be close. But I think basically add 10 to our goal totals uh, as the Woods win 18-17 and clinch their playoff spot. Really happy for that team, like the first year of a new coach. I think it's pretty cool that both of these first year coaches made the playoffs. Um,
Mm.
Yeah. What are your guys' thoughts on this game?
That was a tough one, especially at the end there. When that fourth quarter rally that the Cannon stage was electric. I mean, we can talk about all the other issues from this weekend, but that's just where I go to first is things didn't feel great a lot last year as well during homecoming, I think, because obviously the first game against the Redwoods wasn't great. And then the Cannons needed a comeback against the Water Dogs. And so because they won, we always talk about how great that game was, but it was tough to watch for parts of it at the first half of that game. And so same thing sort of happening with this Redwoods game, but the fourth quarter run that they went on, especially with how quickly some of those goals were scored, was giving me flashbacks to that Water Dogs game, and you could hear the crowd really got into it. It
Yeah.
was popping. The guys were juiced. Mackesy was losing his mind when he scored, and every time they ran off, I saw Will Manny multiple times. I saw Asher. I saw Marcus egging on the crowd, getting everyone juiced up. And so I really was thinking that they were going to ride off and just, it was going to be electric, just like the Water Dogs game last year. And then New England boy, Ryder Gonerty, but the silencer, just ridiculous one hand bouncer, you could feel just the drop in energy that came from
Yeah.
that. It truly was a crowd silencer, and so that really just sucked.
Yeah. And then yeah, so that goal 237 to go in the game and it like yeah, just to echo back all of what you said, Jack. I want to read out the timestamps on these goals. So this is with time remaining in the quarter. Um, the Redwoods score 11, with 11:26 left on the clock, so 34 seconds in. Cannons score
To
10:39
make it
by Mac.
17-12.
Yeah, to make it 17-12. And then
Yep,
the Cannons score 10:39, that's power play goal by McAsee,
yep.
10:15 Drenner, and then 7:32 McAsee, 6:54 Nolting, 6:20 McAsee. So two goals in about 30 seconds and then three goals in a minute. Uh, yeah, just over a minute. And three of those
There
five
you
also by McAsee. So you talk about like that's exactly why he was drafted. Was to put on a performance like that. It's obviously a bummer it took until the last game of the season. Um, I think there's still a lot of things that the Cannons offense needed to work out. It did seem like he and Manny were a little redundant. Obviously, they didn't play together until the last couple weeks. It seems like they kind of finally figured it out. Um, and yeah, that just Ryder Garnsey, the only player who scores, an equal number of goals. We talk about guys scoring left-handed, right-handed. He scores an equal number of goals, two hands on his stick and one hand on his stick. Um, and it feels like, we don't remember the ones where they miss the net or they get saved, but yeah, he's been generating magic like that his whole PLL career and back into college as well. And um, yeah, I mean, obviously they had chances. They got a timeout with I think it was 12 seconds to go. Campbell kind of beats his dodge or just gets that moment of unsettledness and is running down the middle of the field with like within 10 yards and just a one on none shot and not Jack Kelly, Chase Erlin saves it. Um, and I think I was pretty certain they were going to go to overtime when I saw Campbell get a step on his defender like that. But they said on the broadcast, that was the first save by either goalie in the fourth quarter. Um, that might not have been true actually, because I think Bertrand had that between the legs shot that Kirst, I think saved. But either way, that was Kelly's, or sorry, not Kelly's, Erlin's first of the quarter, and what a big moment. I was sitting next to another fan who also played goalie, and it's like that is the best feeling. It's like you got a 10% chance to save it, and you get that 1 in 10. So yeah, happy to the woods. I was, we talk about the other teams we don't like, Philly, New York, Maryland, but I think the Woods have been underdogs for a while. It was tough to watch how bad they were last year. Like Philly was unlucky, but California was really a bad team, and can't say that anymore. Um, yeah, I guess Casey or Jack, any further thoughts on this game? I mean, Colin certainly didn't have his best game. Tucci, we knew wasn't going to have his best game against Nardella, although he held his own, I think, to the degree that we expected him to.
Erlin.
Sorry.
I mean, you said Nardella,
Oh,
which
sorry.
is also true, but
Yes. Yeah, I will
But we'll
say,
cover that in a minute.
yeah, against Nardella and against TD Erlin, I would say Tucci did as well as could reasonably be expected of him to do. It just, particularly that fourth quarter run is all the more remarkable because they were not winning a lot of faceoffs, and then in that run they did. But it's
yeah,
tough to string goals together, and as we'll talk about for the second game, when you just don't have confidence in your guy to regularly win a faceoff. And we also saw Connor Kirst took three faceoffs, and Zach Goodrich took one in that matchup against the Woods. And I didn't have it down, but let's see how many. I know Connor Kirst took faceoffs in both games. He really
yes.
did everything for the Cannons. Let's see. Nope, not play by play.
Connor Kurst had taken four, if that's what we're looking for, and then Goodrich took one.
Yep. And then he took five. He went 2 for 5 against the Whips the next day.
Mm.
Yeah. So he and Tucci were at about the same percentage. Of course, Tucci took a lot more. Um, yeah, yeah, I think the same issues that were plaguing the Cannons all year plagued them in both of these games. I'd say to a larger extent, of course, against the Whips. Just that back-to-back fatigue factor, but Colin didn't look his best. I mean, he was below 50% in both games. And the defense didn't look that great. I mean, they gave up last second bad angle shot goals to players in both games. It was Chris Kavanaugh against the Woods, and then I think it was Aidan Carroll. Just like a dodge from X, not a lazy dodge, but a dodge where it's like, let's just try to make something happen and chuck something on cage, and even just maybe a yard above the net with not much angle to shoot at. The defender doesn't press out enough, and Cohen doesn't make the save, and at least against the Woods, that one would have made the difference. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, it's yeah, I don't know. It's tough to say too much that we haven't said already. I mean, we were so high on them after the win against the Dogs, and I said the offense, at least in the this game and the first half against the Whips, still looked in sync. and firing on all cylinders. And I think maybe the biggest positive to take out of this, it's hard to find too many positives of this sort because the season's over, but Asher Nolting finally looked like the player that we know he's capable of being. He went one
Mhm.
and three against California and two and three against Maryland. So, what's that? 9 points for him on the weekend, which is a little bit more the type of player that we know he can be, right? When and he had the first 2020 season in PLL history, which is really, really hard to do.
Mhm.
And yeah, if he'd had a few more games like that, not that I mean, he's also had games in the past where he gets like 6 assists, and it's really hard to complain about that too. But he looked more confident in demanding the ball and his ability to win his matchups. I think he knew he was going to get left on an island, and finally had a little bit of better sense of when that double team was coming, and
Mhm.
was able to dish it for that reason. Um, yeah. Anything else about? I know I've been going on for a while about California or
No, we can shift to Maryland, I think,
yeah,
although I don't know how much different the story is there. I guess it's just that
Mm.
California was back and forth. Cannons had that fourth quarter run, and I think from the Maryland side of things, it was very similar to the California side of things, and the Cannons just didn't have anything left in the tank by the end of the game, probably some season long and weekend long fatigue. And so instead of going on a run or keeping pace with California, they just ran out of gas.
yeah, I think that's the story. And
I think that we honestly just started to panic in the second half because we had a lot of shots that were just too high. And it seemed like some of the players were getting the ball and they just tried to like, and one of them I think was Jules, like he would get the ball and would just try to like shoot it almost immediately, and it was just not like a controlled move,
yeah,
and it would go too high each time. So that was kind of frustrating. Very frustrating, given the weight of getting that win from that last game. But as you mentioned earlier, Asher did look more like himself. I mean, he had two goals and then he was a part of, I want to say like three or four other goals. He was pretty sure he got three or four assists. So out of eight goals, he was a part of more than 50% of those. Um, unfortunately, it was the last game of the season to see
yeah,
that side of him again. But I guess on one hand, it's in there, and we know he still has it. Not sure what was going on for the whole season, but he's got it. Um, I'm just interested. I just want to know what are these guys going to be doing in the off season now? Once they hopefully take a little bit of time to reset and then get back to work, like what's the plan going to look like? Um, but
Yeah, is sorry, finish your thought there,
no,
Casey.
I was just
Yeah,
going to say, but later on we'll hopefully have Coach on to talk about that, maybe a few months down the line.
yeah. It'll give him some time to debrief and get away as well.
yeah. Yeah, I think that will be really interesting. That's the big question for me is just where does this team go heading into 2026? If you're the only team in the conference, one of the only two teams in the league that doesn't make the playoffs, it obviously is a you feel like you need to change something. And granted, they finished with the same record as both Maryland and Philly, and it's a losing record. So I think that's more of a indictment on the fact that the East just wasn't strong enough, I guess, as opposed to, oh, the Cannons were unlucky to lose out the score differential. But Aiden, you and I talked about this briefly after the game yesterday, or yesterday as we're recording this after Saturday's game. This Cannons team on paper was better than last year's team. Jack Keelty was healthy and started back on the defense. You added Owen Grant to the pole room, and you figured out the lefty attack spot. That's Maxey or Manny is kind of besides the point, I think, because one of those two was at attack every game and looked really good. And then at the end of the year, it was Manny, and you had McAsee on the field coming out of the box. You even added Jules midway through the season. So, I mean, if you're talking at least starting lineups, Marcus Ashe, Manny at attack, McAsee, Drenner, and Campbell as your starting middies, and then Kirsten Jules are your backups. And then you have the defense and the polls. It's really just Bubba was the guy that you technically missed this
Yeah.
season, but Ramsey was a phenomenal pickup, and obviously you still have Trainer and uh, Goodrich. So I wouldn't say that there's really a drop off. I'll be glad to have Bubba back next year, but it's going to be oh crap, like we can't have four SSDMs. Which one of these three do we not keep thing? So
Hmm.
it's not. So I don't think that group took a step back, at least not again, not on paper. I think the D mids were a lot better in transition last year. Jeff Trainer did score a goal both nights this weekend, but I don't think he had the offensive year that he had last year. And I mean, what was it? He tore his MCL or something in
Hmm.
camp series. So don't know how healthy that was. So maybe he gets back to his offensive game a little bit more at the end of the year. Maybe that's why we saw him score a couple in front of the home crowd, that his knee is starting in the right direction. But this is a long, rambling monologue here, but just the point is that this team should have been at least as good, if not better, than they were last year. They were 7-3 last year. Arguably, the Atlas had that blowout win over the Outlaws in Boston, which gave them the score differential tiebreaker. And this year they're 4-6. That this is not a team that's 3 wins worse than last year's team. And the one big question going into this year was lefty attack, and the Cannons solved that. So I truly am curious what Brian is going to do to change things, because the ret going back to what I started off with being the one team that missed the playoffs. You think about the two teams that missed the playoffs last year. California changed head coach, changed GM, revamped the roster. Philly, you got CJ Kirsty didn't really contribute that much until the end of the year, obviously. But I think we even said it last year that, I mean, how many 1-goal games did Philly lose? Like, you truly could say, oh, that they were just unlucky last year. You said it earlier already today, Aidan. So it was more of a regression to the mean, I guess, for Philadelphia this year. I don't know if the Cannons were really unlucky this year. So what do you do to
Yeah.
change things?
I mean, I think like the lefty attack spot last year, I think there are some obvious places to upgrade. I think, first and foremost is still the faceoff dot. I think if I was Zach Tucci, I
Yes.
would call every NLL team and be like, "Hey, do you guys need a faceoff guy?" Because that seems like it's something that has really helped just about everyone in their careers.
Mm.
Connor Farrell has revamped his. I don't think he's coming back to the PLL, but he's revamped his. I mean, he has a professional career now playing for the Bandits. TD, obviously, Stathakis. who was like
Mm.
fine last year. I think took a big step forward. Justin Inacio had like a failed PLL career, went up. He's been playing in the NLL for a couple years, came back down, and kind of like he and Owen Hills helped turn the Carolina Chaos season around. Um, so hopefully he's doing that. I wish I had maybe done the research to know what the, if anyone, like the prime Fogo candidates for next year's draft are going to be. We have plenty of time to talk about the 2026 draft because the Cannons will be picking second overall, so they can definitely get an impact player. Um, and honestly, I think defense was a bigger problem than offense this year, and I think part of that was coaching and part of it was personnel. I think Bryce Young and Garrett Epple definitely did not look like the players that they were when Boston signed them. You know, Garrett Epple was coming off Defensive Player of the Year. He looked pretty slow, and Bryce Young has, yeah, he just doesn't look. He doesn't look super reliable in coverage one on one, which he was for so many years for Maryland. And I think both of them have been pros for a while now. So, um, it is a young man's game. I would definitely want to take a look at who the best young poles with a lefty or righty coming out of college are. I think Jack Hilty, it still maybe took him a little bit of time to get acclimated because, right, this defense didn't play together all of last year except for what, like 2 days in training camp. Um, I think still you want to keep him, but I would definitely look to upgrade on field either of those poles. And I think coaching wise, it did seem like they figured some things out. I know Collins certainly did not have his best year, um, nor did really anyone on that defensive side of the ball. Um, Obviously, this homecoming weekend, the score lines did not indicate that Boston's defense played particularly well. But I think I'm hoping as well. I mean, we saw with Tierney, right, last year go 2-8, and he talked about how difficult it was to adjust to coaching in the professional game versus the college game. Hopefully, John O'Derna coaching one of the premier programs in Division One men's lacrosse, that after a year of seeing that, then he's able to look at film and break stuff down, not just from the Cannons, but from every team and figure out um, how to improve, his team's on-field performance for 2026. And I mean, it's tough, right? Like Syracuse, I assume is paying him more money than the PLL is paying him, but hopefully he's able to still dedicate that time. Like I don't know now that the season's over, like how much is he dedicating to recruiting and scheming and practicing stuff for guys at Syracuse, which he is a lot of his day to day um, versus yeah doing the same thing for Boston. And I guess Jim
Mhm.
Mitchell was able to do it for Princeton, right? He was their he still is their offensive coordinator and was able to coach for the Cannons. But it seemed like, from what Coach said to us when we last had him on, that he knew that wasn't going to be a long-term coaching position because I think it is really difficult to do both of those jobs at the same time.
And have a family, and I'm pretty sure he has like two kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
we definitely have to get some fresher, higher energy blood out there. For sure. I love all of our guys and I wish that like, hey, I wish they could all stay,
Hmm.
but we need we need more energy and we need fresher legs. Um,
Yeah.
so we need to definitely be looking at the face-off position. Hopefully in the off season, like I'm pretty sure Tucci is like New England based guy, and it may not be on our favorite team, but so is Nardella. And Nardella has the face-off factory. And so like I would hope that already they've connected around face-off factory stuff, but if not, like Tooch, you gotta get with, one of the top guys in that position, probably out of PLL history, and you gotta learn from him and you gotta get better because we need that. We need you to do that. Um, but I also know, like, just talking to coach last night, he puts so much response, and yes, he's the head coach, right? But he does carry so much of the weight of us when we're not winning. Um, and so I know that just from our conversations with him, right? Like, he's very, very big on reflection. Seems like he's pretty good at being like self-aware as well. And he cares about like approaching things holistically. So I am looking forward to seeing like what decisions are made. Um, and I hope that it involves getting some fresher legs out there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think both in the like the physical sense and in the more kind of mental sense, I think
Mm.
it's yeah, it's tough to do this at a high level for a long time. It's
But I do also think it's worth noting, right? Like we know a number of the guys on this team have also had a hell of a year off of the field too.
yeah.
And I mean, I may not have grown up playing lacrosse, but I played other sports and did other things. And I don't think anybody is, well, you're a rare breed if you're able to 100% block everything else out. We're human, right? So it's gonna, whatever we have going on outside or off the field is gonna take somewhat of a toll and impact us in one way or another. So I think we overall have just had a heck of a year,
Yeah.
the team.
And I'll honestly like of course I wish the Cannons were in the playoffs and had a chance at the title. Um, I don't necessarily mind that they're not going to be in Champ Series because Casey, we both saw it in person. Like they just got so beat up, and
Yeah.
I mean, it cost Fairman the entire season. I think that shoulder injury that happened to him down in February. Trainer obviously did not look fully healthy when we started the year. Matt Campbell didn't look fully healthy when we started the year. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
I
It beat the heck out of us.
yeah,
And you know what? We
and
won, so cool. But yeah,
yeah, I think that yeah, it does come at a cost, and
But
we
we want to win in September more than we want to win in February.
yeah. Yeah. Um, I mean, of course we want both, but
absolutely.
we've got, I mean, that double obviously would be nice. It does seem maybe a little bit easier to win in September and then win in February than the other way around because like the Cannons just they gave
Mm.
everything to win that title in September. And I think it is a great bonding activity, right? Like it was awesome to have more Boston Cannon stuff to talk about in February than and not like we finished this. Of course, we're going to still talk about the playoffs. We're going to talk about free agents. We're going to talk about the drafts, but there's no Cannons lacrosse to talk about now until the last week of May. And that and there's no opportunity for all of them to be together physically in the same space until May, right? Until around Memorial Day is when training camp starts. So yeah, it's I think ultimately it's a positive like to go every year and to win every year is not realistic. It's obviously a disappointment because they all want to compete, but I'm not super sad. Yeah, again, still wish they'd made the playoffs. If they'd been in as the fifth or sixth seed, that maybe would have been ideal to still have a chance at that double. But I won't mind that we won't
Mm.
that they won't
Get
get
some
beaten
rest,
up
boys,
again.
and then come
Yeah,
back and dominate next season.
absolutely. Yeah, I think a lot more time to think to not. You know, I'm sad we won't get a dose of Brody Merrill. I
I did think about that, yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
if we could get him to come on as a D coordinator, I know. You know, the young kids. So I don't know if we could just take the whole Canon salary cap, like hopefully it should be going up with the new media rights deal. If we like, I don't know what the coaching salary cap is. Probably not enough to relocate from Canada to the US, specifically not to
Mm,
Boston. But man, if we could, I think I've said this maybe to you off air, but the Cannons might be like a Brody Merrill contract away from winning the PLL title because he sees the game and understands the game and how to teach it and coach it at such a high level, maybe better than anyone else. I mean, there's a reason
Mm.
the LSM of the Year award was named after him while he was still an active player. Um,
mm.
probably the greatest to ever do it at that position. It's got to be either him or Earhart. Um, but I think he did it for longer, and Earhart's got that a successful real estate career now, but he is like his brain is like a defensive supercomputer. So I don't anticipate being able to get him. So we'll certainly and I don't think John O'Durn is a bad coach or coordinator necessarily, but that's my hot take is if we could I take Brody Merrill honestly maybe even still as a player. Um, on this.
I'm curious, what is that like learning curve going from a coach at the collegiate level to a coach in the pro level? Like,
Yeah.
what do you guys think that
I think just
that's?
the amount of time you have is so much shorter. Because college, I would assume at these D1 programs, like you meet during orientation week probably. And I know there's informal, at least at the D1 level, there's like fall ball stuff where you'll scrimmage other schools, and you'll still have practice if not every day. And then you'll have like in multiple stuff multiple times a day too. Like you'll have early morning weightlifting sessions and meetings there, and then practice in the afternoon. And then in season, you're practicing every day, and it's that's definitely multiple times a day. Where you'll like practice and then have a and then have like dinner, and then have a film session, and then the season's
Yeah.
longer too. Versus here, you got the draft, which you got to figure out remotely, right? Like I don't think Oderna, Holman, and Jernstead meet in the same room necessarily to talk about the draft, or at least not for very long. And then you have like a week of training camp, and that's the longest time you're gonna spend together for the entire season. Um, Maybe even including
Mm.
camp series. I think they get there what like 3 days before, and then that's like a 10-day experience. And
And
so,
it's not the whole team.
right, it's also not the whole team. And I
Yeah.
think it's tough to install. And I mean, is what Jern said when we talked to him that they're really really smart high IQ players. So they whatever you want them to do, they can pick it up really fast. But to ask them to do, or for you as a coach, really to be able to understand how to best communicate everything in that limited amount of time, in that limited amount of practice time, like you can't go over as much stuff. Like I think the reason we see so many like offsides calls in the PLL is that one, the faster pace of play, and two, just that's not something you're ever going to practice because you got 90 minutes once a week.
Mm.
That clearing is not, you know, you just hope you have a plan and you can hope everyone can just execute it.
Well, one really exciting thing that happened over the weekend to try to
Yeah,
talk
let's
about
get
something
positive.
positive,
End
right?
on a positive note.
Yep.
Although, did we really talk about the Water Dogs Atlas game?
No, I mean that was very cool to see it. Highest scoring PLL game ever.
Yeah.
It unfortunately was
Yeah.
not the result the Cannons needed. The Cannons needed the Dogs to lose big. But 20-19, amazing. Really fun to watch.
Yeah.
Two twos by either side. CJ Kerr's just doing his thing. I think he was the leading fantasy point scorer for the week. Yeah.
McCardle got three. I like McCardle. He used
Oh
to play for
yeah.
the Firewolves, and
Right.
he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that was cool to see. Like, that was my first time ever watching a PLL game from like on field seats.
Yeah.
And I was just, of course, I was like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that was really, really awesome. Because I love that you can hear what the players are saying to each other.
Yeah. Well, we heard we both heard CJ Kerr's yell out some profanity. He tried to check on a clear.
Yeah,
It
we
was very
just there
funny.
was a bunch of kids around. We're like, just, don't repeat that, please. Um, yeah, I did talk to Brett Dobson to get uh one of Kristen's sons a autographed card, and he was super nice and super cool about it. And was even like, "Do you want me to go find him and I'll give it to him myself?" And I was like, "Oh my God. That's awesome. That's so nice." Unfortunately, I couldn't find the her son at the time, but yeah, that was really cool. That was right after that game ended.
Yeah. Yeah, it was cool to see him like on the field watching from that. perspective, and I think some other players that we couldn't recognize, or maybe just friends of his. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, but Casey, what was the other positive you wanted to say?
Ah, the long-awaited return of our famous mascot Boomer, of
Yes.
course.
The hype video for Boomer, I think, was my favorite part of the entire weekend.
Yeah, it's
The way that
disappointing that that's true, but
disappointing that it's true, but just oh, it was electric.
They
yeah,
did such a good job with that.
They
yeah,
did, and
you could tell the social team
uh,
really went all out for it. So I
as
mean,
they
hey,
should.
yeah,
Yes,
Boomer's iconic.
another
that's
reason
right.
Boston's the best. I believe this is the first PLL mascot. I'm sure others will be coming soon. Um,
Whose sticks? That wasn't something that I want to say
Oh,
the
that's
Rough
the
Rider.
Outlaws. The Outlaws had a mascot
yeah,
named Sticks, like back in the MLL days. I forget what he was, like a
I think a
raccoon or
raccoon.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Oh.
I don't get that, but the Outlaws. I mean, it's not full mascot, but they do have JoJo War Drummer. I
yeah,
think he's come back out since the Outlaws came back. So I
yep.
don't know if that counts as a mascot. That he's probably like the OG supporter group super fan.
Mm,
Um, yeah,
That's like the Outlaws version of the Ball Busters, I feel like. Too
yeah, a
bad we
little
can't
bit.
get them back out. But
Uh,
yeah,
well, shout
Boomer's
out.
great.
Yes. Yeah, we loved it. That was awesome. Um,
and the
and
fans
then
did too. I mean, to talk to so hope a bunch of fans obviously over the weekend, and just
mhm.
everyone we could to get them excited. And we talked to a guy who we asked him his favorite Cannons memory, and he said it was the first photo he got with Boomer, which he has saved in like his favorites on the phone. He showed us from August something 2008.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
So
Um,
yeah, it's cool that like it wasn't just like dorky or whatever. Like it was genuinely people loved him. I mean, we've been
mhm.
clamoring the league to bring him back as soon as they announced it was going to be the Boston Cannons. And they're like, "What can we do to work with you and to like to promote the Cannons?" And we're like, "Give us Boomer."
Yeah,
And
and they
Finally.
did
straight
it.
up but they straight up lied to us. We were talking to them and we're like, "Can we bring Boomer back?" And they were like, "Ah, sorry, the costume is gone. We don't know where it is. We can't afford to make another one." And
They
yet,
figured it out though.
yep. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it was great to see him
Iconic.
back. I think the fans, everyone appreciated him, whether it's old fans or new fans.
Yeah.
So I'm sure the Outlaws, we got to ask our Rough Riders friends. I'm sure they'll be
Hmm.
clamoring for Sticks to come back next year, and it'll be fun to see. I mean, I'd rather a new team than an existing team get a mascot, but
Yes.
um,
Yeah.
one of those is a little bit cheaper to do. So I understand
Yeah.
if giving the dogs, the whip snakes, etc., mascots comes
Hmm.
before adding ninth and tenth teams.
Yeah. And shout out to all the fans that stopped and talked to us about their favorite memories too.
Yeah,
In the premiere zone yesterday. That was awesome. Anyone that also messaged us too on Instagram about their favorite memories. It was really cool. There were a couple of people I remember they had said that like watching the MLL and then I think Rowan, who was ended up being the fan of the game,
yeah,
um, he's too young to have watched the MLL, but watching pro lacrosse was like their inspiration for them to go on and play. Um, and I don't know, I think just like being part of the support group following and supporting the Boston Cannons, like it was really cool to hear that, hear the impact that it's having on like kids and, youth.
yeah, yeah. I mean, because we're homers, obviously, we're rooting for Boston in everything, but I think the more people that are playing lacrosse, the more people that are watching lacrosse, the better. And we hope that's what we're doing here is to help get pe more people excited about lacrosse, whether it's through the Boston Cannons or something else. But
Hmm.
yeah, if everyone's got a stick in their hands, I think that'll make the world a better place.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. All right.
cool.
yeah, let's end it on that positive note, I think. Um,
Agreed.
yeah. So the whole league's off for a week. The first round of the playoffs will be Dogs versus the Whips, and then Chaos versus the Redwoods. Also want to give a shout out to the Chaos finally making the Champ Series for the first time ever. Now that they don't have all those Canadians that require them to start every season so badly. Um, so that'll be cool. And then yeah, we'll go from there. I think we'll be back in the near future. We'll talk about those other matchups. We'll maybe do some predictions for PLL awards. Um, yeah, and keep talking
Well,
about
actually,
yeah, Jacko's. Yeah, I'll throw it to you actually before we close out.
yeah. Thanks, Aidan. Just I guess we were about to end it on a positive note, so I apologize in advance for making it more of a bittersweet tone, but just want to say a special shout out and thank you to all the fans, all of the listeners that this is my last podcast. I am going to be stepping away from leadership now that the season is over. Life changes, and just I will am not able to continue on with leadership going forward, unfortunately. But it was a great 2 years, lots of fun, lots of great memories. It's always going to be very cool to have been a part of this from the ground up. And when the PLL is as big as the NFL, and the battery is just like all the European soccer supporter groups that we model them after, it'll always be great to have been a part of this group. And I mean, it's the fan base. Just because I'm not in leadership doesn't mean I'm not a Cannons fan anymore, not a part of the fan base. So still rooting for the team. But yeah, this is the last time you'll be hearing from me via this uh,
Yeah,
mode
Platform.
of platform. Thank you for the word. But yeah, but I know the group will be left in great hands with you too. So things will be great going
thanks.
forward.
Yeah, and hopefully we can still get you on every once in a while. Whenever Will Manny
Guest
finally
appearances.
hangs up the cleats or something like that.
Perfect.
Yeah. Um, yeah, we'll wish you the best in all your future endeavors. Of course, we'll still be in touch offline. And yeah, all right. I guess that's the place to end it. So we'll be back. Obviously not as regular now as the Cannons aren't playing anymore, but we'll be checking in every 1 or 2 weeks with talking about news. Obviously still recapping the games that have yet to be played, awards, um, and we're looking towards the draft now. It's officially the Archers are officially on the clock, and then the Cannons are second on the clock. So, um, long way to go until then, but we're just waiting for lacrosse to come back. So, until then, go Cannons!
Go
Go
Cannons.
Cannons.
Boom!
Boo!